What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, I've reached out directly and indirectly to the team I'm a part of. Sorry, it's not me. It's the team I'm a part of has reached out directly and indirectly to over 500,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on September. I was going to say September. It feels like a little bit September outside with the weather. It's gotten a little chilly. Well, the weather doesn't know what it's doing. Mother Nature is control. But today we're about, we are blessed. We just got a blessing into the green room. So we are family is sometimes, you know what? If the day ever comes, we release outtakes and green room stuff from this conversation, you would love that, but we ain't going there yet. But here in Toronto, it's about like 32 degrees. Like earlier on this week, it was like very spring-like sunny weather. And then we had snow yesterday. Snow. I shoveled twice yesterday, believe it or not. I could have waited for once, but I don't get the exercise done. So that's okay. That's okay. But why are you're not here to hear or listen to me. You are here to check out Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. And they are both here.
Almost didn't get me.
LaLa showed up.
I did. Hi, everybody. And I missed a meeting yesterday. Y'all, it's been crazy. Like I'm going to say something here just to share with y'all because most of the family knows about this, but it looks like we are definitely going to have a trial for my sisters on the 31st of this month. So we've been really back and forth with the attorneys and things. So my brain has been kind of scrambled. So just
finally.
Yeah.
What?
It looks like it, but I'm trying not to get excited, but it looks like the judge said this is enough. It's time to move forward. You guys need to be ready.
Good. Hey.
Good.
Well, progress is always good. That's got to be a good win for the week.
It is. That's my win for the week. I'm coming in hot.
That's really accelerated.
Yeah, well, it's been 3 years and 3 months.
Yeah, but from the time you had a new lawyer to now trials happening, that's quick.
And I like her. I like this attorney. Okay. She actually gave me her personal phone number and said, don't call the office, call me. We had a really great conversation this week. And I'm not going to say any more than that because I'm pretty sure I get stalked. And if you're watching, okay. Hi.
Wow. Okay. Let's put it over to Aisha K. How's your week been? And give us a win.
I'm trying to think. My win this week was just that I took time off of social media. It was great. I'm like, so glad I'm not going back. I've decided I'm not going back, at least for a long time. It was so, oh my gosh. When I say the burdens of the world don't feel as heavy when you're doom scrolling with a whole bunch of people who are doom scrolling.
Yeah, I hear that. Like, if you want conflict, go on a social media platform, or most of them these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Conflict, drama, etc., etc. Wow, wow, this is crazy. This is how much I love this show. I was actually thinking of going to see one of my all-time favorite musicians, though it's about an hour and a half drive to see him, named Stanley Clark. Is one of my all-time,
Stanley
and he is
Clark.
playing. But I said, I saw him many years ago, so it's not like, oh, I never seen him before. I was sort of going, but I'm going hour and a half drive and going, but Primetime Saturday, yeah, Primetime Saturday. So I was just doing that. Are either you two going to be watching the Oscars or paying attention to the Oscars?
Nah, I'm done with those shows.
I hope Sinner wins, and that's it. And I haven't seen it yet. I'm about actually, my daughter and I are going to watch it tonight.
Oh, you're gonna watch Sinners tonight? Oh,
it's one of those things.
Be prepared.
I felt like I needed to be in the right mind frame because heavy material.
But it's so good. It's so
Have you ever
good.
Have you ever seen it before?
Who, me? Yeah, more.
No. I know LaLa, you have. Aisha, you have.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna stop right there. All right.
Yeah. Don't say nothing else.
Nothing else to say. Look who's in the house already. Regina is in the house. I am so grateful somebody has a source on the Unfiltered Truth. Attended a No Kings Marshal training today. About 30 volunteers showed up. Good vibe. Wow. Regina, you are all in. I mean,
I'm with you, Regina. Putting them marching boots on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, LaLa, I have something to ask you about.
Yeah.
Jamal Bryant.
Oh,
saying that the Target boycott is over.
Says who? You ain't the boss of me.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
And who are you to tell us when something is over? No, sir. So what are you getting for that? What are you getting from this?
And that's the consensus of a lot of Black people, particularly like if you look at Instagram, there's some Instagram videos and things like that. I've seen a few people pass them on to me. And even listening to Black Talk Radio, which I do Monday through Friday. Honestly, everybody is pretty much like, what did he get for it? First of all, I want to know when we started listening to Nina Turner again. Because Nina went off the deep end at one point and I just couldn't deal with her. So I'm trying to figure out how she got to the table to be making statements. And here's the other thing. It was very uncoordinated, this announcement. Some people were saying, no, we didn't get this. And he's like, yeah, this. Here's the thing. And an influencer said this on a video. It made very good sense. Black people, we don't have one leader. We are all leading Black people, and here's the thing. People who are going to shop at Target are going to shop at Target. And I promise you they never stopped anyway. Yep. The people who have stopped have found other ways of getting the things that they need. And that has now become habit after a year. There's no need to go back. And with prices going up the way that they're going, Target prices aren't any different from mom and pops and other places that you can find the same things. That's it. And here's how I feel about the Black, because see, they didn't say they were going to bring back their DEI program, and that was the reason behind the boycott in the first place. Those people who sell their goods through Target, where's your website? Because honestly, if you want me to buy your stuff, put it on your website. I'll buy directly from you. Save you the middleman and the cost and all of that.
A lot of them are saying they can't afford to do that. And I'm like, well, I don't understand that. It
costs you less to do that. You charge the purchaser shipping. I don't understand. It doesn't cost a whole lot. Here's the thing. And then you don't have to share your profits. How much of your profits do you have to share with Target just to be featured in their store?
I don't know. It just seems like, but you know, Black businesses, let's just really be honest though. Black businesses struggle with these types of things. They struggle with the foundations that most white companies, majority of white companies, and also white women companies don't deal with, because a lot of the times we lack the business principles because we haven't been taught. and we don't know what to do. So these are the situations that we end up in, where now a lot of them are also losing money because a lot of us are not shopping there. So
Right.
what is your plan B and C?
Right.
All right.
You, look, you need somebody to make sure you call me. Get in touch with me. You need a communications person, a public relations person. Get in touch with me.
I'm going to jump in.
Look, I won't take part of your profits. I'll take a flat fee off the top. I won't take part of your profits. Promotion. Let's do it.
We're in already. I love this. This is good. Let me get to some comments. Jen Myers, fan number 1, says, hello, everybody. Regina says, I've been marching for years. I'm not going back to Target, and I used to be a loyal shopper there. When I went there at Christmas, there were only white shoppers going in and out.
Yep.
Enlightened Beings, Love Purse says, hi, family. Good to have you here so early. Regina says, I had the stomach flu, but it is over. Feeling strong and motivated in capital letters. Love is stronger than hate. Hello to all. All right, and here's I think one of the challenges that a number of Black business will say they have is that, okay, whites don't support us. I think even a bigger challenge at times is Blacks don't support a lot of Black businesses. So
yes, we have that problem. We have that problem. We have that mentality.
But guess who else has that problem? Guess who else has that problem? It's not unique to us, because you go to mom and pop stores in these little places. Because remember, I live in Connecticut, so the majority of Connecticut's white. And you go in these little towns and stuff. Guess what? Those stores are struggling too. Because guess who's not going to those stores? White people aren't going to the stores in their own area. So for us to really sit here and say, well, Black people don't support Black, guess what? White people aren't supporting white business either, because the problem we have right now is that things are so unaffordable. But Target, if has anybody, before I stopped shopping at Target, my biggest complaint was, why are your prices going up like this? They're a corporation. And I promise you, and I know this because I made a deal with, I did a deal as a literary agent for someone, got him 50% in royalties, when the average that people get going to bigger publishers is 10 and 15. So I know that Target is taking a big chunk in what these people are making. And also too, where are they displaying these items? Because now when they got rid of their DEI thing, and they started to slowly bring some things back, they were putting them in the back of the stores where people can't find it anyway. And then again, how many different beauty products do we absolutely need? That is I think that's the other thing that we struggle with in terms of businesses, is selecting the right businesses. I don't need any more oils. I don't need any more soaps. I don't need any more lipstick, face creams, any of that. There are other things that I do need. Jill had shared with me and LaLa a website where you could find some of these other things, like there's like laundry detergent, trash bags, toothpaste. I love that. And those are the things that people need. Diapers. There was one company that did diapers, Black owned. So those are things that we have too many people putting too much emphasis
and the same products
on the same
industries over and over again.
When I worked for the
that's all we can do.
Right. When I worked for the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs, one of the things that we complained about, and this has nothing to do with business, with that kind of business, one of the things we complained about when it came to social services was duplication of services. There were so many different social service organizations all going after the same thing, rather than coordinating a real seamless continuation of services. So, for example, if you're going to have a summer camp for Black kids, then somebody else needs to focus on when those kids come out of camp, what they do after school, then somebody else on a program that would get them internships and apprenticeships, and then someone on a hiring program. I mean, having that kind of seamless continuation of services is better, but we have so much duplication of services, which also means when it comes to our businesses, we have so much duplication of products. So it's really competitive for, like, particularly in the beauty space.
Yeah. I mean, how many more products of curly girl stuff do I need?
Sorry, I don't need any.
Yeah.
Both of your faces. I wish I could have got a screenshot right there. That was priceless.
You know what? Give me a Black-owned company that makes reading glasses, because
Right.
I'm always buying readers.
Right.
Always.
Oh my
Okay.
God, y'all! I just bought my first pair.
Oh, you know what? I go to the Dollar Tree because they're cheap, and I buy like 25 at a time and put them in a case because I'm always losing them. So yeah, because I'm like, for the way that I lose them, I'm not spending a whole lot. So I just buy. I have some in the car, some in my purse, some like one next to the bed, one on. It's yeah.
You're like that's like me and pens. I lose
Oh,
pens. I'm terrible. Like,
Until I started buying this one brand, I don't put that down, and I know when somebody stole my pen because I'm not the one who uses it. That's what I buy.
okay.
So I done slapped Mr. Will a couple times. Give me my pen back.
Yeah, and I think things like products like that. Look, let me tell you
Don't
something.
take LaLa's pen.
I just bought a stack of office supplies. Like last week, I got some legal pads and some new pens and things.
Did you have to
man,
take
you
out a
stocked
loan?
up? You stocked
No,
up.
no, actually, I got there was a sale at Staples. But if I knew of a Black-owned company that does those kinds of things,
Yeah. I'd be all in. All right, let's do some quick things. Dr. Tachi's in the house, says good evening all. So Dr. Tachi, that I'm watching my Roadcaster. So anytime you want to jump into the conversation, the mic is open. Also, Regina, which I think she's one of the presidents of the Dr. Tachi fan club, says blessings and greetings, Dr. Tachi. So Regina's happy because she's got all you in one place. And then Dr. Tachi goes, hashtag pen thief.
Yeah, I'm serious about my pens. I use them. They're called Tulle, T-U-L. I think they're from France. They're my favorites.
You know what's strange? And before we go to break, I use keyboards so much. Do you ever feel funny having to write something out? Does it feel weird to you at all?
I'm not anymore because I do my journals every day, and so I make myself write.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm typing like that, but I've gone back to that's one of the reasons why I bought so many supplies. I'm going back to doing my writing pen to pad.
Okay.
There's just there's a different way that you think when you write pen to pad versus when you're sitting in front of the screen.
I like sometimes the odd time I've got to sign something, it's like weird. It's going weird.
I struggle with, and I know other left-handed people do too. I really struggle finding pens that feel right in my hand.
Thank you. I'm a left-hander too. Thank you very much.
Wow,
and that's the challenge, right? Is finding the pen that feels right in your hand, because I don't write with the hook. I just turn the pad.
Well, what's even so? I think you had mentioned this before, and I agreed with you when we were in school, finding those desks that were meant for left-handed people,
and then the right-handed people would hog the desk. Or when I was in kindergarten, they had the left-handed scissors, right?
Yes,
and it had a green top, and all the other kids had red. And I grew up in a house. I was the only left-handed person in the house, right? So I knew how to cut with regular scissors. So I remember I just grabbed a pair of scissors, and all the kids at the table, you can't have those scissors. You have to use the green ones. And the same thing with I don't know why they gave me a green pencil. All the other kids had a red pencil. The pencil is a pencil. It's not adjusted for a hand.
Right.
It didn't make any sense. And I hated that. So, my daughter is right-handed. Both of her parents are left-handed. So when I had to learn how to teach her how to write, I asked my mother, how did you do it? And my mother told me that she sat to my left so she could put her right hand over my left hand and guide me that way. And that's how I did with my daughter. And so, it helps to have a mother who's a teacher.
Dad was a teacher. There we go.
Those things, right?
We've got something in common.
But finding a pen that feels right in your left hand is a challenge.
Yes, it's a magic feeling. It's a magic feeling.
It's a magic feeling when you're right-handed too, and you got the right one. Don't steal my pens.
So before we go to break, we're gonna change up a little bit today. Girlfriends chat with Aisha, LaLa, and Jill Jones at Patreon and Substack. One day TikTok, on YouTube. Thank you very much. Waiting for that. Primetime Saturday store. There's the link for it there. Join our Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com or click on that link. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. One of those will be going. You can guess which one. Not going to go any further. And then to advertise your business, product, or service on our show, please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And we mentioned it earlier on, Dr. Tatch is here. Her platform, Indie Soup TV, independent content creators platform, over 28,000 subscribers on YouTube in about 2.5 years of operation, which makes it subscriber-wise in the top 4% of all YouTube channels. Check it out. Check it out. Now we're going to go to break. And something that I'm involved in, you're going to hear about.
Toronto, July 25th. The Narrative Power Summit is landing in the 6. This is about ownership.
This is about controlling our story. If you're serious about narrative power, strategy, and ownership, this is the room you need to be in. To get your tickets, go to africandiasporanews.org/Canada. I'll see you in Toronto.
Yes.
Love that. That is awesome.
Yes, African Diaspora Narrative Power Summit. And it's going to be in Toronto, July 20th. And check it out. I'm going to be hosting it. And I'm also going to be hosting the panel discussion. And one of the people that's going to be part of it, Philip Scott, who runs a platform, the African Diaspora News Channel, which has, if you look at all the channels combined, over 1.9 million subscribers.
Wow.
On YouTube. And he's been at the game for about 8-9 years, totally done basically on his own. Yes, with help from people, but it's a totally Black focus. And he has correspondents throughout the United States, some in Canada. I think he may even have a few in Africa. So he is developing a total global Black-owned, Black-focused news channel. And actually, I am interviewing him coming up next Wednesday at 12 noon.
Nice.
So if you are around, check it out live. If not, here we go right here. So this Wednesday, I'm speaking with Philip Scott, the founder of and chief executive of the architect of the African Diaspora News Channel. So check it out. If not, subscribe. You want to catch that replay. All right. So we've got our first story, and I have a feeling that we're going to get, well, this is ongoing, but we're taking a little different slant on what's going on over on the other side of the world. So check it out right now.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Truth on the U.S.-Israel-Iran war. No spin, no scripts from think tanks, just raw facts cutting through the noise. This isn't ancient history. It's the shadow conflict exploding into open fire right now. The flashpoint. It started with decades of proxy wars. Iran arming Hezbollah and Hamas against Israel. Israel hitting Iranian assets in Syria. Then, 2024, flipped the script, direct strikes. Israel took out Iranian generals in Damascus. Iran launched 300-plus drones and missiles at Tel Aviv. Fast forward to June 2025. Israel's 12-day war pummeled Iran's nuclear sites at Natanz and Fordow, plus military bases. Iran fired back with hypersonics, overwhelming Iron Dome for the first time. U.S. involvement? Trump's back in the White House, greenlighting strikes from Diego Garcia bases while slapping maximum pressure sanctions. No boots yet, but carrier groups in the Gulf signal readiness. The hidden agenda. Unfiltered truth. This isn't just defense, it's power plays. Israel wants Iran's nuclear dream dead. Iran eyes regional dominance post-Syria chaos. U.S. oil lanes secure, China checked, and arms sales booming $20 billion to Israel alone last year. But the real weapon? Information warfare. AI fakes flood X and TikTok. Recycled Gaza clips labeled Tehran burning. Deepfake Biden declaring war. Platforms censor one side, amplify the other. Your feed's a propaganda mill. Human cost. Civilians pay. 500 plus dead in Iran cities, blackouts, bread riots. Israel's shelters full, kids traumatized. Yemen's Houthis and Iraq militias escalate, risking Gulf oil choke. Leaders tweet victories. Families bury dead. Call to action. Demand real talk. Verify sources. Skip viral clips. Support independent voices. This war's fog hides the exit. Stay vigilant. Like, subscribe, drop your take below. Truth over fear.
All right, so we're gonna first conversation piece. We're gonna talk about the war that's going on, the U.S. Israel Iran war, but getting truth. Where do we get truth from? So, ladies, go for it.
Well,
Not anything that's mainstream. You know that.
No. If you have Google and that use that as your primary search engine, I'm going to tell you this. First of all, it's going to curate information based on your previous searches. So it knows what you're looking for and it will direct stories that way toward you. But beyond that, Google, let's not forget, the people who own Google also donated money to Donald Trump's inauguration. They were there with the other tech bros in the front seat. So they are going to, if this administration doesn't want you to see things, Google's going to make sure that you don't. They're going to block it. So I went and I found I downloaded Opera, which I liked, and turned the VPN on, and then specifically asked for news sources on Iran, independent news sources on Iran outside of the US. And that's when I got a slew of information from Iran, from the Middle East, from Europe, from Australia, from New Zealand, from South Africa and Nigeria, and from Japan. And the things that you can't read, you can translate, click translate, right? But these things, we have to know this, because our media is not telling us that, upward of 1,000 soldiers have been injured. Okay, we just know about, and we have a president who I don't even know if he acknowledged the 4 service members that died yesterday, but we're now at 12, right? But so many more that we know of. So many more have been injured, and not just soldiers, Americans. What is it, like something like 700 Americans around that region in different places like Dubai, like Kuwait, the UAE. They are being harmed in these strikes because of where they are. And when our government told them we're not going to help you, where were they supposed to go? So look at, I mean, it has been very eye-opening, not just to hear about the challenges for people on the ground, but also the perception of the rest of the world in this. And I said this to LaLa and Dr. Wright. I think I said it last week too, but I said it in one of our private conversations. People in this country, you're thinking, oh, this isn't a world war. It's just this thing. No, the next world war is not going to look like the previous ones where, you have the Allied forces and the Axis powers fighting in one war in one location. What Trump is doing here is starting mini wars all over the globe. So so everybody's engaged in some kind of war. And, it's your eyes open when you see what's going on from the purview of people who are not in this country. And they're just kind of like, we don't understand why you started this. We don't understand what you're doing. And every day you keep changing your mission. There's no way we're going to join and support you, because we have to tell our people why we will be getting into that mess. We actually have to explain it.
LaLa, you've always been a proponent of watching information from various sources
Yes.
outside of America.
Yes.
What are you finding in the coverage? Because you've always been a proponent of that thought process.
Well, it's interesting because just last night I was watching something that it's called the European news thing, and it's not like it's like one of those things when you subscribe to a television station, you get like this information channel that's not necessarily part of the media thing, but they do report about things all over the world, and they all, every last one of them, were like, what are they doing? What is the plan? There's no plan. It just seems like they just decided this is what they were going to do, and there's no plan behind it. And most of Europe is feeling the pressure of like, this is not okay. At what point are they going to step in? I don't know, but I think they're going to have to, because the fact that we have bombed so much, and then Israel has bombed and used the neighboring nations, and now Iran is like, listen, I'm sorry, neighboring nations, but you either need to get them people out of your nation, or we're gonna have to bomb you, because we are going to be protecting ourselves.
Right.
And it's maddening to know that when I'm talking to people who are giving this propaganda back that they've been fed, I just was on the phone with someone today who literally made me scratch my head. I'm like, what news are you watching? And then I go, okay, CNN, because you know nothing. You absolutely know nothing. And spewing the lies instead of going and also doing the research themselves. They're too lazy to go and do the research themselves. I'm sorry, a lot of Americans are too lazy to do the work that they need to do to find the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's maddening to me to know that all you have to do is just do what Aisha did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not hard.
No, it's not. And what scares me more? Because people are getting there. First of all of our media is compromised. All of our mainstream media is compromised because this president keeps suing people, and he keeps telling people he's going to pull licenses and arresting reporters and all of that. It's all compromised. But I want to tell you this about the retaliation and the spirit of retaliation. Not about just the war itself, specifically about that bombing of the school. The fact that this man can't even say, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. We used old information. It was our fault. And he keeps saying, well, I don't know, it was us. I don't know anything about it. You're the president. What do you mean you don't know? And if you are, if you don't know, then we need to really consider the 25th Amendment. But here's the thing. That right there, those were innocents. That's the kind of stuff that radicalizes people. These crazy crackpots in the U.S. who think they know everything walk around here. Oh, no, it's their religion. No. You killed their children. That's why people aren't out in the streets. He's like, oh, why aren't they going out in the streets and taking over their government? Because guess what? That right there, you did that. Their government's like, let us protect you. It pulls them in that direction to support the people who said they're going to protect their kids from being killed.
So much so that Iran made it a point to show many pictures just in the last 48 hours of them in the streets, just like that. While you're lying and saying we're not in the streets, we're in the streets. But what really gets me and what bothers me the most is this is a game to them. And literally using game images, like using we games to pretend like this is a game and that we're bombing people. This is where we are now. And so Iran is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So now we are literally talking about little boys with big balls trying to see who's got the most power. Because Iran's not going to give up. Y'all, we told y'all last week that Iran has nothing to fear and nothing to lose in their eyes. So at our military's expense and lives, they're playing games.
Yeah. And it gets worse because we're in It's a very serious moment. And the degree of unseriousness coming from this administration is insane. The UFC training FBI agents, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They're not law enforcement. They don't come in contact with anything dangerous. They're making choices. And what are they? What? Because Kash Patel, let me tell you something. We've had this conversation, me, LaLa, and Jill. Look, if you want a nerd in charge of things, you get you a Jerome Powell, not a Kash Patel nerd. Okay? Because the Kash Patel kind is so desperate to look like a big, strong man. It's like, dude, if you want to go do UFC training, go do it on your own dime. But leave that nonsense away. And having a child named Big Balls create content for the website using gamer info. I was so angry when I saw that, because they aren't taking it seriously. And let's be very clear, and this is what I'm learning from reading the other news sources. Iran is still going to be going after us long after Trump
after this.
Long after. If you want to talk about holding a grudge, if you can, trust me.
If I have permission to interrupt, just want to catch up on some comments a little while back. Dr. Tati says, I love handwriting. I write in cursive.
Me too.
All right. Enlightening Beings Love First says, this is so much worse than we are being told.
Yep.
Dr. Tachi says, indeed, people act if research is like getting surgery. And Lightning Beings also says, the world is organizing. You as an average American doesn't know that.
Yep.
And then Regina says, I watched a clip, unfortunately, from Bill Maher's Real Time last night and had to fight projectile vomiting. He was going on about, quote, reforming Islam, unquote. WTF question mark.
And again, it's not the two attacks that we saw this week in this country are just the tip of a very big and very deep iceberg. Y'all want to know why the Titanic sunk? Because the iceberg part that they saw above the water didn't look like it was that bad, like they could get around it. They didn't realize how deep it went into the ocean to the point that it tore the bottom of the ship. That's what's happening here. The little part that we see is so small, but what's underneath and down below the surface is so big, it's so massive, and it is so dangerous. I told Dr. Vibe this yesterday when we were talking that, we think this country is going to be able to protect us from a terror attack. They can't even protect our kids from being shot up in school.
And nor do they care.
What
makes you think that they're going to care about killing all those girls in another country when they don't give a flying about what they're doing here in America?
Right. And all you big boys with your all you little boys with your big guns, talking about, oh, well, I'll just shoot. No, you won't. No, you won't. You know what you're going to do? You're going to do like you always do. You're going to go in a corner and shake to death.
Meanwhile, we're not just talking about these war games. This is like an earthquake. You have an epicenter and things move out. And because of not just what's going on over there, our military being put into danger and all that stuff, you're talking about everyday cost of living. And people are not, they're just talking about gas, which, by the way, just 2 minutes ago, a good friend of mine in Los Angeles just posted how much her gas is. $6.29 for the lowest price gas. The premium is $6.67. We are at the beginning of this. You're talking about food. You're talking about fuel for your homes. You're talking about this is never ending. So the average American is going to be paying so much more when we're already in such a crisis mode that nobody wants to talk about because they pay for you not to hear about it. And job losses and everything else. That this is not going away overnight.
And here,
But-
let me be very clear too, right? They're spending, they're saying it's $1 billion a day. It's more like $2 billion a day.
Yes.
But they had to cut the budget. Remember? They had to cut Medicaid and SNAP because we didn't have the money.
Meanwhile, Hegseth is spending all the money on lobster and crab. How about that?
Yes. And a makeup room for himself, and a fund for Donald Trump's library, $60 million fund. They can't find 50 million of it.
We know
So-
what that is.
If I can just jump in, Regina says, great analogy to the Titanic, Aisha. What are both you hearing about the whole impact, if at all, on the American economy from outside American sources, if they said anything about that?
Yeah, the news thing that I was telling you about last night, we're really talking about the straits that all the tankers are going through and what that is going to look like for the rest of the world.
Right.
I
Strait
was
of
really
Hormuz.
I was just like someone is finally, like, I'm hearing this finally, because the way it's presented in America is like, like,
going to be short term.
right. And that's a trigger word. Guys, wait a minute. What was that? Short term? What is it?
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yes. And so now you hear that on every single outlet in those exact parroting. It's the craziest thing. Well, this little news channel was not. And they were literally talking about what the costs are going to be for the rest of the world, in particular, United States of America.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as the American economy, I don't think the rest of the world can even assess the impact on the American economy, because Americans can't even assess the impact on American economy because they've lied to us so much about the money. Money keeps missing. They're not accounting for it. They're just taking here, taking there. That we still don't even know what the savings that Doge did and where that money went. So we don't even know what the American economy is going to look like until the next administration, if it's a Democratic administration. And then these stupid people in this country are going to be like, well, Democrats fix it in 4 years. Nah, baby, he's doing generational damage. That's going to take a couple of decades.
Our great grandkids.
Right. It's going to take some decades to repair the damage that he's doing right now. But I promise you, he is adding $1 trillion in debt.
I think you're being generous. What's the next thing after trillion?
Right. I think at the end of this war, it'll be a couple $1 trillion in debt, because remember, Bush did the same thing, but Trump is going in hard. They're not just firing one missile strategic, here, go. When they get that point, they're like, okay, strategic, we're going to go here, send 30. Maximum power, maximum implosion. That's what Pete Hegseth wants. They want they're doing it for video.
And now we've mentioned, outdated information, but let's take a step back, because I want you to understand what that is. You hear about this, but let's put it into play. The girls' school that was bombed and all those girls died, used to be a military type of facility many years ago, right? They used AI on old technology. And that is why that school was bombed. Yeah. Because according to them, that was still a military facility. Hold up now. Let's even go a little bit. Let's back up a little bit. Okay. Anthropic said no to the government because of why? They came out and said the statement, you're trying to use AI technology for things like this in warfare, and you cannot rely on this type of information. AI is known to be wrong a lot of the time, and no matter what you feed it, you may still be wrong. In this case, that was true. Who stepped right in?
Yeah. And and we have to be clear about this too, right?
You take your fake news to another channel, because we don't report fake news here.
And let's be very clear about that. The people who would have informed them, the people who had the expertise, the people who could speak Farsi that they needed, were either fired by Elon, Kash Patel, or redirected to immigration. So we have a big old hole of information, knowledge, and experience that is a weak spot. And guess what? They were so proud and so rambunctious and so loud about, oh, we're doing this, we're getting rid of this person, we're doing this. That news just doesn't stay in America, people. Everybody else is like, oh, weak spots. But then guess what? Let's not forget this. We're talking about Russia helping Iran. You know where Russia got some of its information? You guys know, I don't know that I'm guessing that some people, trolls particularly, don't know how technology can work, but you can put two phones side by side and clone one, right? Who was riding in the beast with Trump last year? And Trump doesn't use his secure government phone.
No, how
he uses his own
what a
personal cell
concept.
phone, right? So all the information that he gets, the worst thing he could have done was had that man Putin in this car that's supposed to be so secure from outside interference. The only way you can get into it is to be inside of it. So there's no security here. Let's be very clear. Trump had a phone conversation with Putin after he learned and knew that Putin was giving information to Iran to hit us. Why would you go and have a private conversation with that man that was buddy? Oh yeah, I'm gonna look out for you, but you're doing this. Don't do it. Look, you can wag your finger all you want. He's in that for the long haul. He knows he doesn't have to go to another election. But
let me interrupt.
Mhm.
So Dr. Tachi says library and Cheeto in the same sentence.
Exactly.
And Regina goes, how did the US not know the Strait of Hormuz was not going to be impacted?
Because we got a bunch of college dropouts and people who don't freaking read in the government running the government. I mean, honestly, what the hell is Erica Kirk going to do as a consultant to the Navy education, whatever it is? Right? You're going to do that in the middle of this?
Home raising kids? Isn't
You're
that
gonna-
her platform? Isn't that what they want other people to do?
But again, she has no experience. We have a bunch of people who have no experience in over their freaking heads. And yes, Americans are going to die overseas, but we have already had one American die. Thursday? Okay? And don't expect, here's the thing. People who do terrorist acts, they learn from the mistakes or from the blind spots in previous acts. I know a lot of us are probably expecting a big thing like 9/11. Don't be surprised if they start doing smaller terror attacks all across the country, because a bunch of them at different times, because that's something that you can't predict or contain the same way you can a large, one massive thing.
And the gall, the sheer audacity of Trump going to Zelensky and asking for his help. Are you kidding me?
Zelensky should have told him, you don't hold the cards.
Sure did.
Remember he said that?
Yes, he did.
Remember they said that? You don't hold the cards. He should have told Zelensky, you should have told him, oh, you don't hold the cards. Iran does. And it's very sad too, because we don't know the condition of their new leader, but there are things that we do know. We know that his father being a leader aside, he lost his sister, daughter, wife, mother. He lost his family. And that puts a different kind of fire in somebody's belly than just having your ego hurt. Trump is operating on ego. This guy is operating on loss.
Ask me how I know.
That's a different kind of thing altogether.
Listen, this is the thing. Oh Lord, I don't even know. There's so much disgust in me about absolutely everything that America is doing and allowing. Let me be clear. Let me use Aisha's term. Let me be clear. Because there's more of us than there are of them.
Mhm.
So why are we still allowing this? And then I think that to myself, and then I speak to someone like I spoke to today, who literally just was like, well, everybody, all of them do it. The last administration, I didn't vote for Kamala and I didn't vote for him because none of them worked for me. And in her mind, she's serious. She's 65 years old and she's believing that she doesn't have the power. She literally told me my vote don't count anyway. And she believes it. And so you have too many people that are in this LaLa land where they believe this and don't really see their powers.
Right.
And this is why we are where we are.
Yeah, and I think people have to understand. I'm actually working on something that I'm going to announce in a month or so. But I think people misunderstand how to use their vote. The thought is that, okay, I'm going to vote for this one person and they're going to fix everything. That is the wrong way to vote. That is not strategy. The best way to vote is you vote for harm reduction. Who is going to do the least amount of harm to me, to my community, to the people I care about? And then if they do this, who gets affected if they do that? Does somebody else get harmed? And the thing is that we like, oh, I want him to do this for me, without realizing that if they do that one thing for you, they're going to harm someone else. And if they harm someone else, you can best believe that harm has residual effect that will eventually suck you into. So we have to start being more strategic in our vote and look at harm reduction. And we're not doing that.
Okay. Some comments here. Let me just see here. We got let me just check here. Enlightened Beings. Love First says, this is worse than any horror story. Regina says, Iran is letting oil tankers headed for China through the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, they are. And Regina says, Senator Ron Wyden has asked Scott Bessent 3 times to release Epstein's Treasury Department financial records to the finance community on March 11th, June 2025, June 16th, 2025, and September 2nd, 2025. Regina says these records that contain over 4,725 wire transfers totaling more than $1.08 billion from a single JP Morgan account involving Epstein and his associates, plus $170 million in payments from Leon Black. Well, hopefully one day we'll hear some more about that. It's being not the main story anymore.
I'm glad you brought up the money though, because here's the other part too, that people are very distracted in the nationalism, masking its self as patriotism, and what they're not looking at is who's going to make a whole lot of money. When Trump said, oh, yes, the cost of gas going up is good because it means we're rich. No, not baby. It doesn't mean you're rich. It means that him, his friends, all the oil guys, they're rich. They're rich. And I need people to be very, very clear. There are people making a lot of money on this war. There are people betting on it, which is absolutely insane to me that people are able to even bet on it. But there are people who are going to make a lot of money behind this. And I'm not talking about in government contracts. And then I need for us to also be clear too, that our cost of gas is not finished going up. It's gonna go up even more because the insurance companies, the companies that insure those tankers and those boats are saying, yeah, we're not going to cover you anymore.
Wow. That'd be a scary moment. That would be really, really scary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this administration ever getting the point of providing the real truth?
No.
I had
What?
to ask.
What? Trump tell the truth? He lied over 36,000 times his first time in office. Look, he's going for a record now. He's trying to get to the 100,000 mark. No. And as long as mainstream media has the fear of him in them, Americans aren't going to get the truth either. You know when the truth will be learned. Right now, look at it now. We're 25 years after the first venture into Afghanistan this fall, right? We're just learning about where a lot of that went wrong now. 25 years. It's going to be another 25 years before we even think to know even a little bit of the information, because guess what? The books, I promise you, I feel sorry for whoever has to be Secretary of Treasury after this. The books are in such bad shape. Have you ever, anybody work in like finance or have to do budgeting or something for a company? Yeah. And they give you a book and it's in shambles. That is what our government looks like right now. It's in shambles. It's going to take a lot to figure out what's what.
Do you know what came out this week? I'm sorry, let me just tell you this because
go ahead. Again, your laughter was classic. Go on.
Aisha saying like we don't know what this looks like. Well, Musk decided that everybody get in there and take everything. Do you know what just came out this week, where one of the young kids who was allowed to do this couldn't even explain what DEI was.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what it is. And they kept trying to pressure him into like, you need to tell us what that is. And he doesn't know. He thinks it's some Jewish thing is what he said. That was his answer. It's some Jewish thing.
Really? It's a Jewish thing.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So these are the people who were allowed to destroy and take and steal our information. Right. And another one of them who was on the team has been actually said, yeah, well, I took everything on the thumb drive and I actually gave it to my new employer.
Mm-hmm. And let's be very clear. There's the person who is over, the person who works under Tulsi Gabbard for national security. That is his job is critical to the war. His last job was what was he a checker or a cashier or something, or an Uber driver? That was his last job. He's 22 years old. So granted, there are very mature 20-year-olds. I understand that, but would you trust your grocery clerk to deal with this?
Okay, let me get to some comments. Dr. Tachi says, so now Corps will see the problem with the insurance industry. Mm-hmm. Regina says the man blocking congressional access to Epstein's financial records oversaw the fund that paid for services, as a client of a business designed largely by Epstein's lawyer, a company that later received Epstein's money through Southern Trust and channeled it to Carbine, the surveillance technology now embedded in 911 systems. Dr. Tachi asks, the better question is, what line, or maybe what line will 47 tell you today? And Regina says, I could go on, but Kushner is heavily involved too.
And that's the other problem that I have too. He sent 2 real estate guys over to make a deal about nuclear arms.
But we know why, Aisha. What are they doing to Gaza? That was the whole plan. So they're going over there to figure out how they can do that there, but they don't pick the wrong ones, baby. Mm-hmm. They don't pick the wrong ones.
All right.
And there's a reason why no other president has tried to go into Iran.
Go ahead, LaLa. You were going to say something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and don't forget, guys, there is a lot of rumors right now. Like people are wondering where Yahoo is because they ain't seen him in about 5 days.
Let me ask before we come off this subject, then how should, if you're both of you do not support 47. I know at times you do support the Democratic Party. How should they be handling the unfiltered truth aspect of this war?
Well, first of all, they have to stop going on the media, the mainstream media, and acting like they're going to get some hardball questions. Okay. And I mean, this is from regardless of what party. Our politicians, it's a farce. They're not being asked the right things. And I'm so sick of, when we get power, I understand that you're blocked, you don't have the power to do any of these things. But the thing that you do have control over is where you go to share the information with people. Stop running at CBS, because guess what? CBS is going to own CNN soon, and it's all going to be beholden to Trump. It's all going your stuff's going to be highly edited. Stop going to some of these other sites. Go to independent sources. Go to people who are going to ask you, and don't shy away from the hard questions. And I think that was one of the things that I just thought was so ridiculous with the Pete Hegseth and Caroline Levitt pressers this week, was because they're full of people asking them softball questions when American lives are at stake.
Okay. Some more comments. Dr. Chachi says they were trying to build an all-inclusive resort for the wealthy in Gaza. Yes. I don't think that's off the table yet. And then
it's not off the table. That's their plans.
Regina says Tulsi Gabbard ran a presidential campaign ranting against 47's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in 2020. And then,
and don't forget, she's still a Russian. She's still, people should really be afraid, because remember, she's a Russian plant. And who's Russia helping right now? What Russia referred to her? That's our girl. So who's Russia helping right now?
Regina says, now Miss Aloha, no regime changes, is MIA or hiding in Fulton County.
Well, we also need to remember that, like we talk about the world and how people are looking at this. You do know Laura Loomer went over to India, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on her way over there, what did she do? She deleted all of her racist posts about India. And there was one gentleman in the room who was like, you ain't getting out of here today without me saying something to you. He called her to that carpet, and all that old frozen face could do was just look at him, because he was like, how dare you come in here after what you have said? Do you not know that we've seen absolutely everything that you have said about us? You don't even deserve to be in this room. And I was so proud that someone called someone straight to task for him that they're not doing here in America. Yeah. And she couldn't say anything because that man was not holding back. And more people need to do this about this whole administration.
Yeah, like I am still amazed at what is that guy, Todd Blanche, when he announced the thing about the Epstein files, and he said, yes, we retracted pictures that were related, that had nudity, harm, and death. Wait a second, I'm sorry, did you say deaths? Not one reporter asked, what do you mean deaths? They just let that slide, like that man didn't even say it.
All right. Well,
look,
at the end of the day,
what you guys know, I keep saying that one because I still don't believe it.
So if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, then both of you are saying go to independent sources and go take a look at sources outside of North America.
Yes.
But the only way you can do it is to get a VPN and change your browser. Download another browser. I use Opera, turn the VPN on, and I get to see sources that when I try to go to Google and look at it, they're not there. They aren't.
I'll do you one better. There's a great one called IP Vanish. Go do it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to our next conversation piece. So we'll get a video to start it off. And here we go.
Today, we're diving into the status of voting rights in America. With 2026 midterms looming, is your vote safe? The SAVE America Act is front and center, pushing proof of citizenship rules that could block millions. Let's break it down. Current status. First, the big picture. Voting rights are under siege. House Republicans passed the SAVE Act back in February, mandating citizenship docs like passports or birth certificates at polls. Trump's team is pressuring the Senate, but it stalled for now. Critics call it the worst suppression bill yet, targeting naturalized citizens, students, and low-income voters who often lack easy access. Think about it. 9% of Americans, over 20 million, don't have these docs readily available. In Black and Brown communities, that's even higher due to historical barriers. States like Texas and Georgia are already rolling out mini SAVE laws, stricter ID checks, automatic purges of inactive voters. Last year alone, 1.5 million legitimate voters got scrubbed in battlegrounds. This isn't protection, it's a power grab dressed as security. Impacts on Black voters. Black American men and women who are eligible to vote, this hits home. Voter suppression echoes Jim Crow, long lines in urban areas, poll watcher harassment, and now digital barriers. The SAVE Act could disenfranchise 700,000 naturalized Black citizens alone. Remember Florida's 2000 recount? Multiply that nationwide. Midterms mean control of Congress and state houses where redistricting and school funding live. If we sit out, policies on jobs, healthcare, and justice reform stall. But here's hope. Courts have smacked down similar laws 80% of the time. Groups like the NAACP and ACLU are suing, and states like Michigan are expanding access with same-day registration. Resistance and action steps. So, what can you do? Number 1, check your status at vote.org. Get that real ID or passport now. 2, register 3 friends. Apps like Vote 411 make it easy. 3, join the fight. Text VOTE to 32375 for local canvassing. Family, you've overcome poll taxes and literacy tests. This is our moment. That's the voting rights crisis unfiltered. Hit like, subscribe, share. Let's protect the ballot box.
All right. So we've got voting rights 2026, SAVE Act crisis expose. Oh, well, we already got to go. Yeah, I want to just get some comments from the last one. Regina said, you got to love the war between Loomer, Kirk, Owens, Tucker, Shapiro, and our favorite Megyn Kelly is a hot mess.
You can't tell them
Regina,
apart. They all look like that. The facelifts.
And Regina says Fetterman withdrew from supporting SAVE. Now we can get into the topic. Go ahead, ladies.
Well, okay. If this is really about voter ID, they would just pass a clean bill. And I know a lot of people don't understand what a clean bill is. So let me explain this to you, how legislation works. When they want a clean bill does exactly what they say it's going to do. Just that one thing. No, there's nothing else added into it. Let's get it done. Those usually pass through pretty quickly, actually. Clean bill would just be, we want voter ID and specify a specific type of ID, like a passport, for example. And then they would do the job of funding it. Because remember, passports, all these ID things, they're expensive. And for people who don't have the money to do it, it's a hardship. So basically, what won't they do? They won't vote. This is not a clean bill because they threw some trans stuff in there. They're trying to get a whole bunch of other things passed under the radar of saying it's voter ID. And so, like I said, when they're very serious about things, they put money behind it. This bill is there to disenfranchise. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to choose their voters, not the voters choose who represents them.
Exactly.
And that should not be partisan. We should all be able to choose who we want to represent us with our vote. Period. Across the board. And I mean, this SAVE Act is more, it's not a labor of voter ID. It's not a labor of voting rights. It is one man's gripe that he lost an election. Because guess what? The one thing I have to say this, think we all have different opinions about how the last 3 elections have been held. But the thing I can say about 2020 would have been the most difficult election to steal for anyone because we were in quarantine.
Mhm.
That is a very critical thing for people to understand. We were in quarantine. So because more people were able to vote, but also every state had very specific ways of allowing people to vote to keep people safe and healthy. We actually did paper ballots here. We did paper ballots. And that was harder that's something that you can't cheat on, because it had a barcode attached to the envelope, attached to everything. So those are things that you just can't fake. And this is about his gripe, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be in Fulton County. They're in Fulton County.
Yeah.
And guess what they found? 600 some odd more votes for Joe Biden. It keeps getting worse for him. And this isn't about voting rights. It's about him losing an election.
And it's about setting up, making sure that you're not going to be able to do it next time either. But he said that from the very, very beginning.
Yeah. We are having wind over here, and power went out on one side of our house.
Ooh.
But a little bit dark here.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of this SAVE Act? Do you think it's going to get passed?
I think we're in danger of it very much passing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
John Cornyn is about getting rid of this filibuster now so that they can pass the SAVE Act, because he wants Trump's endorsement. Remember, Trump said, whoever can help me get the SAVE Act passed from Texas, I'll endorse that person.
And so everybody vies for the king, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Until he punishes you and puts you in the back room, because that is happening to Kristi Noem right now, y'all.
Yeah.
He don't even want her. He don't even want her around him. He's done banished her to the blackness.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't express enough to people to continue you got to check your registration weekly. They're trying to purge voter rolls. That's the other thing the SAVE Act does, is it requires states to purge their voting rolls. It also requires states to give the voter registration information of all their citizens to the federal government, where the federal government really has no use for this, because voting by the Constitution is not controlled by the federal government.
Nope,
It is controlled
but that's what he
by
wants.
the states.
But that's what he wants. He literally said the federal government should be in charge of voting.
Mm-hmm. No. And the other part about it that is really bad is that he is then trying to go after secretaries of state. The Secretary of State is the person who oversees voting in your state, and he's going after the Democratic ones only. And it is, we're going to see a lot of lawsuits between now and January of next year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And I expect the
47 lawsuits? That's an oxymoron.
Well, no, I'm not talking about him suing. I'm
not
talking about the
suing?
states suing. I'm talking about the states suing. I'm talking about voters suing. You're going to see a lot of that.
Like we said, our great grandchildren will still be dealing with this nightmare.
Regina's on the news wire. She goes, good news. Mexico sent 2 of their Navy ships to Cuba with aid and blocking 47's oil blockade. Yes.
And that's another thing. That's the other thing. This man is eager now to get out of Iran so he can go into Cuba, because he thinks that'll be easier.
Yeah, so pick your poison on what you're going to watch that day, because there's 50,000 fires going on.
And let me be very clear. It's not just women. It's not whatever. If they turn over your voter registration, and you even say that you don't like, they'll connect it to your social media. Because remember, the social media companies are in his pocket too. And so what you'll have is, if you even say something, you might be one of his ardent supporters. You might have voted for him 3 times, but if you're like, I hate that we're in this war, past that, say that, these people will be able, oh, you know what? Let's purge that person off the voting roll.
Exactly.
It allows the government to pick and choose who gets to vote.
All right. So actually, for people who are not, okay, Regina says Scheinbaum rocks. And Dr. Chai saying he didn't count on Persian fury. and I'm also going to, for people saying, what is this SAVE Act? So I'm just going to put up a part and read a part of an article from The Guardian outside of America, by the way. The SAVE Act is a rebranded and expanded version of last year's Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act, which passed in the U.S. House but didn't get a vote in the Senate. This year's version includes expensive documentary proof of citizenship requirements and criminal liability for election officials from the initial SAVE Act, in addition to a very strict voter ID requirement for casting a ballot and a provision that requires states to regularly turn their voter rolls over to the Department of Homeland Security. Every voter would be affected by the Save American Act, says Xavier Prasad, Senior Policy Counsel at the American Civil Liberties Association. Quote, regardless of political affiliation all across the country, unquote, it would disenfranchise potentially tens of millions of valid U.S. voters, he said, as people would face more barriers to voting at every step of the process. It is a quote, it is a sweeping effort to solve a problem that doesn't exist, that will require vast, expensive new bureaucracy to be built in a few short months before a major election, unquote, said David Becker, director for the Center of Election Innovation and Research. Quote, it's a recipe for disaster, unquote. Changing the rules in the middle of the midterms with primary elections already passed or underway in many states would cause, quote, absolute chaos, unquote, said Greta Bidavicus, and if I got the name wrong, my head, not my heart, Director of Policy at the Center for American Progress. Quote, there's no doubt in my mind that this would disenfranchise people, unquote, she said. So here's what the bill includes. What it would do when registering to vote or changing any element of voter registration, a person would need to show proof of citizenship, such as passport, birth certificate, in person at elections office. So I'm not going to go into more detail, but there's a large amount of people in America that don't have a passport.
Right.
Next part here, voter ID. What the bill would do, a voter would need to show, quote, valid of photo ID identification to vote at the polls or by mail in federal elections. For people voting by mail, it requires them to submit a copy of their ID, both when they request a mail ballot and upon its return. The bill does not accept ID cards issued by schools or colleges. Legal liability for election workers. What the bill would do, the bill says elections officials who register a voter without proper documentary proof of citizenship would be subject to criminal penalties and fines. It also opens up an avenue for private citizens to sue an elections official for registering someone without proof of citizenship, a so-called private fight for action. Voter rolls, the bill requires states to turn over their voter rolls to the Department of Homeland Security regularly. The federal government has sued multiple states and requests access to their voter rolls, which election officials believe will lead to erroneous targeting of voters' removal.
You think?
Okay, our Constitution already says that non-citizens can't vote. Anyway, that's the part for me that people are, well, the undocumented are voting. And you know what, let's be very clear. There are 2 classes of people who can't vote: non-citizens and people who have committed certain crimes. Okay? If someone is here undocumented and is that considered a crime?
It's not a crime. They have a right to be here.
Right.
They have to do they have to do
right.
the due process.
But if they're not here with due process, why would someone who's trying to hide everywhere else in life decide, oh, I'm going to draw attention to myself by going to vote. It doesn't happen like that. And it is so small. But the people who are complaining always talk about, oh, well, the illegal immigrants are going to, you never hear them talk about, oh, what about all the criminals? What about all those January 6 people that got
that
pardoned,
are getting rearrested?
Pardoned and rearrested. There is one guy who got pardoned who's now has a lifetime prison sentence because he molested, raped 2 little girls, and he's going to jail for life. Should he be allowed to vote? No, but the thing is that this is solving a problem that doesn't exist because Donald Trump has a bug up his because he lost an election in 2020, and he doesn't want to be held accountable if Democrats take over the House. The only way that this is going to pass is if it passes the Senate. And right now, for the Senate to pass it, they need a 60-vote majority because of the filibuster. So they would have to get rid of the filibuster first. And the challenge with the filibuster is like, okay, you know what? If we get rid of the filibuster, remember, Republicans won't always be in control of everything.
At this point, I'm thinking we have way too many rules. Can we just knock them out the way and get these idiots out of office? Obviously, they don't play by the rules. So, I've never been one who said you should be the rebel all the time. But at this point, somebody's going to need to be a rebel.
And people forget that if they have to turn over voting rolls and that this can be determined, it's not going to be just undocumented people that are going to be disenfranchised. It's not going to just be Black people. It's not going to just be gay people. It's not going to just be women. Everybody, anybody, because the who gets to decide whether or not someone votes, there really isn't any criteria. The criteria is so varied. It's subjective to the person who looks at your ID and decides, well, yeah, you have a passport here, but you know what? You never left the country. So I don't know that your passport's real. Even though I see the federal stamp, you can't be registered to vote because you've never traveled out the country.
But not only that, y'all, they're going to be, here's the thing. They're getting so ridiculous with this that women who have been married, and maybe you've been married more than once, if your ID does not match your birth certificate, you will not be allowed to vote. Now, I don't know about y'all, but most of the women I know are married or have been married before. So one of the things that and not only that, they're talking about they really want you to vote in person. What about expats? What about the military? What
about college students?
There you go.
When I was a grad student in Nashville, I voted in Tennessee because I was going to be there a couple of years anyway, but I couldn't we vote in November before Thanksgiving. I couldn't get home to Connecticut. How are college students supposed? And yes, that does change. But you think about it, college students spend a good amount of their time in that place and should be represented there.
All right, some comments here. Regina says Thune, who's the leader of the Senate, says he does not have enough votes to pass the SAVE Act.
I don't necessarily
without the filibuster, and that's why they're bringing up the filibuster argument first.
And then Dr. Tachi says they are manufacturing problems. Non-citizens have never been able to vote.
Thank you.
Regina also says the bill will likely get a vote and fail, an outcome that has triggered a full-blown meltdown among MAGA activists who had hoped for a dramatic Senate shutdown.
And that's why they're going that's why they're going after getting rid of the filibuster. Because if they get rid of the filibuster, then they can just have a simple majority to pass it. And I think that what Thune is saying about not having the votes, even with them removing the filibuster, has a lot more to do with John Fetterman saying that he's not going to support it now. Because if he did, he probably would have been the vote that they needed. But remember, they have a majority in the Senate, and that is why they want to get rid of the filibuster.
Oh, look who's here. Daily Scrum News says, last week, I said the American casualties were in the hundreds and well over 1,000 were injured. Then the Department of War upped the injured and dead to 1,200 and over 150 injured. So there you go. Let me ask.
Mhm.
I know what you're going to answer, but I want the viewers to hear. Ideally, who does 47 want to be able to vote?
White
Oh,
men.
white men who support him and their wives just because, they're let their husbands tell them how to vote.
That part.
And let's be even clearer. He doesn't want people in blue states to be able to vote.
Right.
He doesn't want people in blue counties to be able to vote. He specifically wants people, if you want to be clear, just the Bible Belt and that strip of states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana.
Okay. Some more update from our friend Donovan at the Daily Scrum News says major breaking news out of Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Germany. The hospital now has dedicated itself to treating only injured and dead Americans, all other surgeries diverted.
That means that the numbers are higher than we think if
Exactly.
they are closing an entire unit.
And yeah.
Because
So
look, the last time we saw something like that, it was COVID.
there you go. Well, family, keep an eye on this SAVE Act. And Dr. Jack says, then this is exactly when the blue states should say there are no more subsidies from these honky tonk red states. Subsidies.
Oh yeah, I'm for the blue states saying, you know what? If this is the case, then we're just not going to be paying back into the federal government because we don't get it. The return on our investment doesn't make a difference. We pay out more than we get back.
Okay. Well, this will be a story that we will keep very much an eye on. So subscribe to here because we're going to be talking about it. All right. November ain't that far away, but this is going to be this SAVE Act will decide the November election. Will be one of the big factors in the effect, along with the war and the price of gas and all that. This is another of the stir stick for the upcoming elections, midterm elections happening in the U.S. Regina says taxation without representation, and then Dr. Dachi says absolutely. If this was Wall Street, red state would be a horrible investment.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's do our last conversation piece. Ben Crump joins family in Hartford police shooting justice fight. Aisha, this is in your neck of the woods. Take it.
Yes, it is. I just wanted to highlight this story because, so many other things have been happening. It's been like it's like being in a car accident every day and the impact of so many other things that we forget the things that are still ongoing, and police shootings of unarmed Black people are still happening. These two happen to be armed, but they were mental health calls. And that is something that was concerned. And they happened within a week of each other. So Stephen Jones, who was shot 9 times on a mental health call, his family had called 911. He had been cutting himself and was just really having a, what they call it, an acute mental health something. But he was shot 9 times. He was shot by one officer. There were 4 officers on the scene that had already been there. And apparently their de-escalation tactics had been working, but this 4th one showed up and within like 30 seconds of being there, shot him 9 times, and he died several days later. We had been watching that story to see what was going to happen. And Ben Crump has now joined that family to the state. And the other happened, Everard Walker, his family actually did not call 911. They called 211, and 211 is what you call for like social services, that kind of thing. And so they were really calling for a mental health evaluation. The social workers called the police to go with them. And he also had been cutting, I believe that he was in psychosis. Okay, so they really needed a mental health clinic emergency team, which we do have. But his daughter had died. He had stopped taking his medication. He had stopped eating and sleeping since October. So he had gotten down to 108 pounds. And the police came, and they had been with him trying for an hour, de-escalating, and then shot him. He was DOA at the hospital. They tried tasing him. And when I first got out of grad school, I was a mental health therapist, and I realized I couldn't do it because the job is so heavy. But when someone is in psychosis like that, law enforcement can be an escalation, and it can make someone who's already in an agitated, psychotic state even more agitated and psychotic. And the other thing I think that we have to remember too with mental health issues is that people can be a harm to themselves, they can be a harm to others, but more often than not, they're a harm to self. And a lot of people, a lot of people, from what I've been reading about this man, particularly the one whose daughter had died and it triggered his downfall, there's a such thing as suicide by police.
Yes.
And I wonder if this was a case of that. And these two cases, they happened a week apart. So, and Hartford has the largest Black population in the state, New Haven next, and Bridgeport. But I just wanted to bring that to light because it's been something that's been escalating, particularly with Stephen Jones, because he lingered for some days, and it was, how is this going to look? And both deaths have been ruled a homicide. Thankfully, we've got a pretty good Inspector General's office, and we have state laws for how these things are investigated and looked at. And the state, both families are giving the state, their attorneys are giving the state 30 days to respond and comply, and then they'll file suits. And so we'll see how those things are going to go. When I was hearing these, as I watched local news and seeing these happen, it reminded me of the Black woman who was killed in her house who called herself on a mental health issue, and the police officer shot her after joking with her because he feared that she was going to throw a pot of boiling water at him, and she was trying to pour it out. And I was reminded of that because that same excuse was used in one of these shootings, that they thought he was going to throw a boiling pot of water on him, but he had a knife in his hand. So I just want people to be aware that these things are still ongoing. They're still happening. And to encourage our community, when it comes to mental health, we've got to do better in terms of seeking treatment, getting treatment, and in early diagnosis as opposed to these crisis stages. Because once things get into a crisis, one of two things are going to happen. Either the police are going to come, or a mental health person is going to come. But more often than not, it's going to be the police, and the police are not trained in de-escalating mental health crises. They do not have that skill set. They are there they can de-escalate violence, but oftentimes you have to remember that's when violence is being thought of from a rational person, not someone who's in a state of psychosis or some other kind of mental health state.
Thank you for that. LaLa, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Because I know, I'll just say at high level, you have some concerns about the police and justice system, but that's a whole other conversation.
It is, but I'm also keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, I just say yes.
Yeah.
Like the old song, our lips are sealed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our lips are sealed. All right. I think, ladies.
Ooh, the wind. Oh my God. My whole house just shook. The wind is really bad.
That's not a good sign.
No, we've been having brownouts all week. So this is
No, that's not a good sign. So before your house may blow down, which we're not saying it's going to, before we do that, let's find out ways that we can get in touch. So there's a lady named Key who we didn't know was going to show up today or not.
She was flying in by the seat of her pants.
Just like all of a sudden she just showed up. Tell us, how can we get hold of you?
What is that there?
Music in the background.
Oh my goodness, I have background music. Hello, everybody. It is Laura LaLa Key. And if you want to find me, you can find me on my website at laurakey.net. I have a lot of free things there for you, especially now when things are getting ready. This week, I'll be uploading an emergency preparedness workbook. You need to have that for your households. Even when we're not even worrying about this, you need to make sure that your household is in good order and have enough supplies in the house. I also have an Etsy store. There's some really fun things there as well. So please make sure that you do that. And if you just like the things that we're doing and you just want to share a coffee with me, go on and buy me a coffee. And we can even schedule a time to have coffee together.
Hey, what's the update on your course?
Oh, my course, y'all. I done sent out emails to managing brokers on the courses. The course is now ready. And so I will be taking orders for lunch and learns by the end of this month.
Excellent. I want a copy of that email. Thank you. All right. Thanks so much. All right. Let's go over to Aisha K. Sang, who says she's gone off of social media, so I don't know how we're going to get a hold of them. Go on.
Oh, you can find me on the Discord.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got some things working. So yeah, stay tuned.
Okay, that was easy. All right, let's do here. All right. So with myself, it's really easy. taplink.cc/the drvibeshow.com. I want to say thank you to everybody today for hanging out. Dr. Tachi put a laugh emoji with the way LaLa responded. What's that sound? I thought just had some good background music to fade it out. And Daily Scrum News says LOL. All right. Before we call it a day, few quick things. Most, you know what? Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. And what else? Oh, I know one other thing we got to do. Let me just transition here. Do it real quick. There we go. You can watch replays of Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the website, the drvibeshow.com. Don't you love LaLa's response when she heard that? She goes, what's that sound? What's that sound? I thought that was, you know what? LaLa has so many classic Facebook screenshots. We have to make a collection. Maybe one day show them during a show. Classic LaLa facial faces. That'd be a good thing. All right, let's call it up. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. Want to thank everyone. Your continuous support, whether you're watching live on the replay, it's appreciated and not taken for granted. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good.